Episode 7 of Daredevil Born Again is a turning point in the series, intertwining personal issues with a gripping confrontation between Matt Murdock and the deranged artist turned serial killer, Muse. The episode opens with a chilling discovery. The NYPD stumbles upon Muse's hideout, and they walk into something far more disturbing than they thought: a gallery of horror. Every wall is covered with drawings, each one depicting his victims in gruesome detail. The way the camera lingers on these images forces us to take in the full extent of his twisted mind. The lighting in this scene is crucial. It's dark, with flashes of red and shadow, creating a sense of unease. The unsettling music builds tension, making us feel as if Muse himself could appear at any moment. The contrast between the artistic beauty of his drawings and the horror of their subject matter adds to the discomfort. This opening scene establishes Muse's philosophy, deepens the horror of his presence, and sets the stakes for the episode. Matt is up against someone who believes that what he's doing is meaningful and maybe even necessary. Heather's sessions with Bastian Cooper serve as a quiet but essential part of the episode. These scenes may seem like simple conversations at first, but they slowly unravel the deep psychological wounds inside Bastian. Through their discussions, we see his growing frustration with the world around him. He resents the expectations placed on him by his parents and society, feeling trapped in a world that doesn't understand him. His only escape is through his art, which he views as his true form of expression. What makes these moments so unsettling is that Bastian doesn't immediately come across as a monster. Instead, he appears as a misunderstood and deeply troubled young man. This makes it even more disturbing when subtle hints start to emerge about his darker thoughts. He speaks about his art with an eerie passion, and his words suggest that he sees destruction as a necessary part of creation. These clues foreshadow his true identity as Muse, but Heather doesn't realize the danger she's in. Heather, on the other hand, represents compassion and understanding. She genuinely wants to help Bastian, believing that she can guide him toward a better path. But her kindness also makes her vulnerable. She sees him as a broken soul in need of guidance, but we see what she cannot. Bastian isn't just troubled, he's dangerous. The slow buildup of these scenes makes his true nature even more disturbing when he is finally revealed as Muse. As Matt digs deeper into Muse's string of murders, he pieces together a chilling truth. Bastian Cooper, the quiet and troubled young man from Heather's counseling sessions, is the killer. But what makes this discovery even more alarming is that Muse's obsession isn't just with his victims or his art, it's with Heather herself. Up until now, Muse's crimes seemed random, a twisted artist using the city as his canvas. But with this discovery, the horror becomes personal. Muse isn't just a killer, he's a stalker, fixated on Heather in a way that makes her the center of his world. He sees her as his muse, someone who inspires his creations, even if that inspiration comes from fear and destruction. This idea of obsession is a major theme in Daredevil. Whether it's Fisk's relentless grip on power, Bullseye's need for control, or even Matt's struggle between his dual identities, characters in this world often fixate on something so intensely that it consumes them. Muse is no different. His art is his identity, and in his mind, Heather is now a part of it. The scene where Muse confronts Heather in her office is a powerful turning point. Up until this moment, Heather has been portrayed as a compassionate and professional psychiatrist, someone who tries to help those in need. But when faced with Muse's unpredictable and dangerous behavior, she is forced into a situation where her professional calm is no longer enough to protect her. Muse's erratic behavior in this scene is key. His delusions about his art and his obsession with Heather become evident in his disturbing monologue. He truly believes that he's not just a killer, but an artist, someone creating beauty from pain. This delusion exposes the warped way in which he sees the world. He doesn't view Heather as a person, but as a vessel for his creations, his masterpiece. His twisted ideals turn a simple psychiatric session into a life-or-death situation. The showdown between Daredevil and Muse is more than just a physical battle. It's a collision of two worlds, each driven by darkness, but fueled by different motivations. Matt, as Daredevil, doesn't just see Muse as a criminal. He sees him as someone who distorts art, violence, and creativity into something sinister. For Matt, this fight is intensely personal. The fight sequence itself is brutal and relentless. Unlike other villains Matt has faced, like Fisk, who uses power and calculated tactics, Muse's approach is completely different. His movements are erratic and unpredictable, much like his perception of art and reality. Muse fights with a kind of wild, uncontrolled fury, and that makes him a unique character. Muse is a man consumed by his obsessions, and his violent actions reflect this. His lack of structure, his improvisational approach, contrasts with Matt's usual methodical and strategic fighting style. This forces Matt to shift from his usual level-headedness, relying more on his instincts and experience than on carefully planned moves. Just when it seems like Muse might gain the upper hand, Heather takes matters into her own hands and kills him. This is a pivotal moment for her character, marking a transformation from someone who helps others heal to someone who must now deal with her own trauma. The psychological weight of taking a life will undoubtedly have lasting consequences for Heather, adding complexity to her arc. Even though most of the episode is centered around Muse and the chaos he creates, Wilson Fisk remains a powerful force working behind the scenes. He doesn't need to be in the spotlight to control the city. He simply knows how to use fear to his advantage. When Muse is finally stopped, Fisk wastes no time in spinning the situation to benefit himself. He publicly takes credit for ending the killer's reign of terror, positioning himself as the city's savior. It doesn't matter that Daredevil was the one who actually fought Muse. Fisk understands that perception is more important than truth. By controlling the narrative, he strengthens his grip on New York, making people believe they need him to keep them safe. This moment ties into one of the show's most important themes, the illusion of control. Fisk doesn't just rule through power and violence. He rules through fear and manipulation. He doesn't need to physically fight battles when he can control how the story is told. Every move he makes is calculated, reinforcing the idea that he's always thinking several steps ahead. However, cracks begin to show, especially in his personal life. Vanessa, his wife, starts to see through his actions. She's no longer just an observer. She's becoming aware of the cost of his ambition. Her doubts and growing discomfort with his tactics hint at a deeper conflict brewing between them. Fisk's ability to manipulate fear is what makes him such a dangerous opponent. While Daredevil fights criminals in the streets, Fisk fights battles in the minds of the people. This episode subtly reminds us that while Muse may be terrifying, Fisk is the real mastermind, the one pulling the strings from the shadows. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.